We Make Movies, Film Geeks podcast, episode number 64. Welcome to the We Make Movies podcast, making the world a better place, one film at a time. And now, here are your hosts, otherwise known as the director, the actress, and who the hell is that guy? Chad, Michelle, and Garrett. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the We Make Movies Film Geeks podcast, the podcast that's all about how to get your movie made, how to get it seen by other people, and how to get it awesome. I'm your host, Gary Robinson. With me, as always, Chad Kukahiko and Michelle Lucadou, members of the board of the We Make Movies filmmaking community in Los Angeles, and generally just cool people. Generally, but not always. No, I'm just kidding.
Always.
How's it going, guys? Is it going good?
Well, did you see my jazz hands? I was trying new poses opening today. I did one of these.
Yeah. Oh, you did jazz hands?
I was doing this.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That's good.
If you're listening to this, you can't see what I'm doing, but there.
Yeah.
You should jump on. You should
One
jump
of
on
these days-
YouTube and just see.
I was just gonna say for my intro dance and whatever. One of these days I'm gonna start having a seizure, and you guys won't. You won't know.
We won't
You'll
know.
be able to tell. It'll just be like
talk.
oh,
Dude, talk.
Garrett, you're so wacky. You're supposed to do the intro now.
You
Garrett,
goof.
turn
You
the
big goof.
Let's start the podcast first of all, introductory wise, and we begin as always with community news. First up, we ask you as always to please go into iTunes, rate the show. It's very, very helpful to us when we get ratings. We got a few ratings. We would like a few more. We would like yours. We would like you to go and rate us. I'm talking to you, person who's listening to this on the audio feed, or person who's watching this on YouTube. Go do it. You know you want to. It's going to be awesome. Also comment on YouTube. Those are very, very helpful for getting the podcast discovered. And then next in community news, we have this Wednesday at the Theater Asylum in Hollywood at 7:30 p.m. We have long-form improv night, the event that is run by Brendan Weinhold. It's
Nope.
He doesn't run it
that's
anymore?
games night.
No, that's games night.
That is games night.
Long-form improv is how's that different from YouTube? Explain to people.
No, YouTube. No. I was just saying, post on if you can post on YouTube, and we can comment on it.
No. How is that different from YouTube Sketch Night, or is that?
Oh,
YouTube
Sketch Night is not. Sketch Night is kind of not happening anymore for the rest of the year.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, so it's just improv now. He does. It's different. Games night is just is improv games, and then what Chris does on the long form night is basically what he was doing on sketch night, but without the sketch portion. So it's all the.
Oh, this is new. I did not know of this.
Have you ever been to before we had the sketch nights?
No. Well, I was there, but I don't usually do the improv thing.
Yeah, me neither. Which is why our actors seem to love it, but
because we're not there.
Well, not all of them. I love watching. I love watching. It's always a very entertaining night. If you're not an actor, or even if you are an actor that is not improv and that isn't necessarily your thing, it is one of the most entertaining nights in Hollywood because you literally never know what's going to happen. Like inevitably, someone will end up upside down. Simulating sex or shirtless. Like it's really kind of awesome, and there's definitely a lot of interpretive dancing, and we've got some of the most witty actors that I know. So
David McCullough takes his shirt off quite a lot during long form improv.
Is that true?
Yes, and I will say that's not a bad thing at all.
No.
If you know David McCullough, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
So that's worth the price of admission. Which is
Garrett,
actually
question.
Ladies. Yes, sir.
Is McCullough a good kisser? Yes or no?
I've heard stories.
Come on.
I don't know. Shit.
Kiss and tell, my friend.
No, we've never done that. We've done other things. I never kiss him on the mouth. I kiss him lower, a lot lower.
Oh wow.
Oh, God.
Well, that actually speaks to my main topic, but we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Well, for now, let's get into the general news. Michelle, you're up first this week.
Me. Okay. Well, I always started on a downer. But I just have to say, obviously, Steve Martin was one of my favorite people, favorite actors, writers, musicians, comics, everything in the world. Ukulele players. He is to be awarded the American Film Institute's Lifetime Achievement Award, which is his highest honor. So, Howard Stringer. What?
You said was. You said.
Oh,
I
no.
thought you were saying he was dead. I was like, what?
No. He's here.
Yeah,
He's
seriously. I googled that. I was
said
like,
bummer.
did I not hear about this?
You said bummer, and then you said was. I was like, what? You just scared the piss out of me. 'Cause he's
Sorry.
I'm sorry. Okay, continue. Why is it a bummer that he's getting a lifetime achievement?
Well, it's just not like sex. You know what I mean? Or like something exciting and crazy, like and fun and interesting. Like I always started like on kind of like well, here's just something that I know. The end.
That's not a bummer, though.
Like not a like downer. Like no, God, no. Anyway, whatever. He's
Way to freak everybody out, Michelle.
It's really going well.
All right, I'm breathing better. That would have killed me. I love Steve Martin.
He is amazing.
May I go to the bathroom?
Actually, what's interesting, one of my, I had a house guest, Katie Fable, if you're listening. Hi, Katie Fable. And she left me his book as her parting gift, as like a thank you. And actually, I think he would be very honored. I keep it in the bathroom. Like right in front of the toilet. I have a bookshelf that has a very honored place that is directly in front of the toilet. Like your knees could almost hit the bookshelf. And it's full of some of our favorite literature. Things we find apropos to keep in the bathroom, including Steve Martin's book. Anyway, he's receiving the AFI's Lifetime Achievement Award.
It's one of the most bizarre news items I think I've ever experienced in my entire life.
First Steve Martin joke.
It's an emotional roller coaster.
and probably my favorite joke, just because I need to move out of this light. Are you guys seeing this thing?
Yes, what is it? Oh, it's the shades.
It's the window shades, but it's like hide. Anyway,
I think it's wonderful. I think it's like
freaking
kind
annoying.
of like it looks like one of the random effects you can put on like Final Cut Pro 10. You know what I mean? Like it's called like window shade.
Yeah, dude. You're what's his name?
J.J. Abrams. Except with just shade, like sunshades, just like everywhere on the set.
Right.
No, but my favorite
flashlight right into the
favorite Steve Martin joke has always been, or the one that always like first comes to mind, is he was at a set, and he looks over in the audience and he goes, "Oh, there's kids here tonight. Oh, somebody thought it would be funny to bring two little kids to a Steve Martin concert. Okay, here's a joke for you, kids. Two lesbians walk into a gay bar."
That's hilarious. Look, I'm J.J. Abrams.
Oh, okay.
Amazing.
Are you actually putting a lens? You're actually lens flaring right now. Audio listeners, we respect you to listen to audio, but you're missing epic cinematography right here from.
Missing out.
You know, I'm just gonna put my face in the thing. I'm gonna do a little here. That's how I'm doing the rest of the
what he said.
Podcast.
Ow!
All right, this has gone off the rails swiftly. Chad, bring us back to battery.
All right. So earlier this week, Netflix and the Weinstein Company announced that they're releasing the sequel to Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon online and in IMAX theaters simultaneously. So Netflix is starting to compete not just with HBO and the other online and Hulu, etc., but with the big film studios. I mean, not really, since they are working with the Weinstein Company, who are clearly a film studio themselves, but it's more fun to say it that way anyway. This is very interesting, regardless of how you look at it. Snowpiercer obviously did good things, as I've been talking about. And for the Weinstein's minor league company, Radius. But I guarantee the stakes are obviously a bit higher here. Snowpiercer made all of its money basically before they even got to the U.S., supposedly. And, you know, what's so funny?
Supposedly? No, just sorry.
God damn you.
For our conversation earlier, I'm sorry.
Kendall, Kendall, right now, you probably are not watching this, but anyway.
Do you want to explain? Do you want to tell people what's going on?
No. Well, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Basically, we were talking before the show, and Chad and I both have a special place of hatred in our hearts for the word supposedly, which it's not. Just in case you're listening. Chad's girlfriend Kendall is actually trying to.
And you actually thought it was a word, please just don't.
Yeah. Don't. Period. Stop. Just don't. Stop. Chad's girlfriend Kendall is apparently trying to start a new thing, supposedly with a G, out of nowhere, just completely.
Probably
So,
to piss me off.
Yeah,
Probably. That's probably it. Because it's anyway. So that's what that joke was. So this is a very, very interesting. Back to the Netflix thing. This is a very, very interesting move. I'm not sure how this helps Netflix per se, but they clearly have enough money to play around, and they clearly think that there's at least something to learn here, if not some money to be made. But what kind of sucks about Netflix is that they don't really share what they learn. They don't even share their figures most of the time. I mean, we'll definitely know the IMAX numbers afterwards because for some reason the studios have to release their numbers. But we're not really going to know what this necessarily means for Netflix. I mean, there are some kind of watchdog company. I don't know if they're think tanks or whatever, but there are companies that are out there that are paying attention and that are trying to, they try to parse the data and figure out stuff about companies that do not share their information. So I'm sure we'll find out what they think it happens after this Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon situation. But it's not going to be necessarily easy, and it definitely will not be from the mouth of the animal that is in the whatever the horse's mouth. Well, okay, I just figured it out.
That was incredible.
I just forgot what the frickin' thing was. Anyway, it's a horse. All right, but I'm definitely going to be trying to just to completely continue with the jacked up metaphors, read the tea leaves as usual, and of course, when I find out whatever I find out, I will let you all know.
Netflix is such an interesting beast. They are a disruptor, but like when I think of disruptors, I think of my go-to disruptor is Amazon. Amazon is like really, really good for the consumer, and it's also good for it has become good for creators in certain fields, and also just for sellers. Like anybody who wants to start an Amazon marketplace you can start a store without like having to pay for a building and all that. That's great.
Yeah.
So it's good on both of those equations, and Netflix it's so weird because it's like, as a consumer, I could not be happier, but as a creator, I'm sort of like, why don't you guys just up to the rest of us? Like, I mean, you're already taking up 33% of all internet traffic, supposedly.
Damn you! Damn you!
But like that is
say that word again. I quit.
Okay. Apparently, aren't they
throwing off my headphones?
Aren't they? Am I wrong on that figure, or do you know that figure? They are
33%.
33% of all internet like data going around is Netflix video streaming. So, which is why they were targeted first by the cable companies for the whole net neutrality thing, and why they had to cave because like they own such a big piece of the pie. But as a consumer, it's freaking awesome. Unlimited streaming and so much good stuff. House of Cards, now a Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon sequel. My God, that's so awesome. But like I'm sort of like it is hard to understand. It's like what?
Well, I don't think it's hard to understand. If I were in their same boat, I imagine I would probably. I mean, because they were built really on that algorithm, and the fact that search algorithm in the early days, that was the key. The fact that they could, based on the movies that you watched, based on the things that you say you liked, kind of give you a general rating. Like that's what kind of made them. And so that the fact that they have it and don't share it with anybody else.
No. What I mean is, why? Like to a degree with the original series, but I more get that. But like with a feature film, so you produce a major feature film.
Yeah.
Does that get you new money somehow in a way that I can't understand? Because I don't think a Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon sequel is going to bring in 1 million new subscribers to Netflix.
There's two potential things. A, that's not entirely true. That's what they're banking on. Clearly, they believe that it will bring them people. And the other thing is that they might have put some money into the theatrical and are expecting to get some money back from the theatrical. I don't know what their deal is with Weinstein Company. You know what I'm saying? These are the things that that they're probably not telling us.
It's so fascinating.
Like, I'm wondering specifically. I remember watching Deadbeat. Was that Hulu or no? That was Hulu. But there was a ridiculous amount of product placement too in Deadbeat. So I wonder about Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I hope not, but I mean,
well, you can't.
That's another factor.
You can't in Crouching. That's like having product placement in The Hobbit. Like you just can't do it.
I mean, you could.
Except
I don't know.
that actually,
I will be.
well, no. Here's the thing. The Hobbit and films like Disney films and whatnot, they are one gigantic product placement because the merchandising is huge.
Yeah.
But but still, on Crouching Tiger, I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know.
Anyway,
I did hear some of the script. A young lady in my acting class is auditioning for a role in it. It's not so what I heard was not exciting.
It's not exciting. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, there's no exciting dialogue. There's lots of exciting sword fights.
Yes, that is true, but it was it was okay. It was bad.
Okay. All right. So wait.
So I'm going to say it's a
Crouching Tiger.
Percentage of all U.S. internet traffic during peak hours that use Netflix is 30%.
Right. Okay. Let's see here. I'm going to skip on to the next section, which is my section. This is actually an old story, but it has flared up with a new development, and well, here it is.
Is there an ointment for that?
There is not an ointment for this flare-up.
That's too bad.
And I kind of need I need to ask somebody what to do about it because it's quite it's making me very uncomfortable, this sudden new flare-up. And, yeah. So anyway, Lady Gaga was sued in 2011 for supposedly stealing the song.
Thank you.
For supposedly stealing the song Judas from a songwriter named Rebecca Francescatti, or Francescatti. Well, here's the thing. Certain sections of the two songs, you put the two of them right next to each other, and you're sort of like, oh, okay. And, of course, obviously, Francescatti did this, and she's posted about this online numerous times and whatnot. And her song was produced over 10 years ago. Lady Gaga's recent song, only out in 2011. But Gaga won the suit after the judge said that, like, a casual observer wouldn't be able to see the similarity. Okay, so maybe this is kind of shitty, maybe she did steal the thing, but it's over either way, right? Well, Lady Gaga has just turned around and countersued afterwards the singer, intending to recoup legal expenses of $1.4 million. And this is like a struggling artist type thing. Now, she's very on her blog like the pure artist, like doing it for the love of the thing. And honestly, she says it like so much that it's sort of annoying, and you're like, you don't say that a lot. Yeah. But either way, suing her for $1.4 million, that kind of sucks. So now one thing is that then I went and I listened to the entirety of both tracks, and now I'm sort of like, well, I mean, like a resemblance between one part of one song to another does not necessarily constitute theft. But even if she did sort of, I don't know, frivolously sue or whatever, which doesn't. Anyway, I think just that like 1.4 million is a little excessive. Am I wrong about that?
Except you always settle. You know what I mean? You always settle.
Yeah.
In those things. And the truth is that I haven't heard the two songs, but if it sounds like a frivolous lawsuit, I say go. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I hate litigious people.
Yeah.
And I think that especially when you're coming to songs and blah blah blah. I mean, if she's suing for 1.4 because she spent 1.4 million, then she's gonna anyway. I don't think personally I'm a fan of Gaga. Not so much her music, but her like social causes and stuff. That I do not believe for half a second she would be doing this if she did not personally believe that this was a frivolous lawsuit from somebody that needs to not do that. And I think that it's anyway. That's my particular point of view. I think.
Well, and the fact of the matter is that there are 13 notes. Literally, there are 13 notes. Just in different octaves. And I mean, like, it's really, especially for a pop song, like, I'm going to guess it's in 4/4 time. I mean, like, there's really, like, everything sounds like everything else if you listen hard enough.
The link is a little bit more compelling when you consider that one of the people who definitely did get paid for the song writing of Judas is Francescatti's ex-boyfriend. So that's a little bit like, eh.
Oh.
But honestly, I mean, for one thing, that's not necessarily Gaga's fault. If she did buy the songs from him in good faith and whatever, like, what are you supposed to do? Anyway, I don't know. It's kind of screwy. The thing that kind of annoys me is that, listen, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't comment without knowing more details of the case. So I'll just skip it. I just think 1.4 million. I'm like, I know that if that were coming down on me, it would crush me.
Yeah, but it's not that she didn't. I mean, think about what she's doing. What she's doing is saying, "F you for your frivolous lawsuit. I'm going to teach you a lesson. We'll settle. We'll settle for far less than that." Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But it's like it's a different can of worms. I've gone after people actively, vociferously, who have sued friends. You know, I won't get into it, but World Triathlon Corporation is a big sack of shit, and I won't get. That's a whole story I can tell you.
All right.
They went after some friends of mine, and they went after, and that for some reason they're still allowed to do Ironman in Hawaii, which is a little ridiculous to me. I won't get into it. It'll take too much time. But the point is that I think, you know, I don't think that frivolous lawsuits should be allowed. I mean, what if she went $25,000 and she had already, you know what I mean? It doesn't really send a message. What you're doing here is telling people, look, if you're going to sue people and try to settle and try to get some money, you got to be, you need to watch yourself. You know?
I guess it just depends, though, because if the girl doesn't think it was a frivolous lawsuit, well, then that's kind of shitty.
Yeah, but listen, I've written songs. I've written several songs, and I know how few, like the chord. I've reused the same chord progression several times. There are elements about. I mean, and yes, even though if it was the guy's her boyfriend, if he wrote, did he write the original songs for Rebecca originally? Did they write them together? If that's the case, it actually is not that uncommon for you to have similar sort of motifs that you go to as a songwriter.
Sure.
Of course there are going to be similarities. It just seems like, you know, and I don't know how, if she forced Lady, anyway, we don't have to spend too much time on this, but I don't think it's too much. 1.4 is not really, it's if they're going to settle for whatever, 20 cents on the dollar or whatever, and the girl ended up making X amount of money. I don't know. But I think that it sends a message. And in the grand scheme of things, I don't know who this person is, you know, but all I'm saying is that I think it's silly to bark up this tree in the first place. You know what I mean? It's silly to go after. It's way too similar. If it was a straight ripoff, anyway, let's move on. But I think that you know, you get my point.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Michelle, let's get on into you.
Garrett, don't you have a book, something like this?
Yes. I went out of my way not to mention that in my segment.
I mean, I'm just saying.
But it's kind of the exact plot of Rebel Yell.
Yes.
I don't understand what you're saying.
Fictionalized version of, you know.
This story, this Francescatti Gaga story, is very similar to the plot of Rebel Yell. Very similar.
Did not know that.
Anyway.
Oh, okay.
But I went out of my way not to mention that. I'm not trying to plug myself here, although Rebel Yell is available on Amazon in hardcover and ebook format.
Aw, you know, the plug doesn't count as somebody
Just when I thought I was out, you pulled me right back.
Was it a spoiler? I hope it wasn't a spoiler.
No. You can't really have a spoiler in literary fiction, I don't think. Like, I don't think that knowing that somebody dies of cancer at the end of The Fault in Our Stars ruins the experience, because you don't read books like that for plot. You read them for quality of writing and character.
I could ruin Gone Girl really quickly.
I can ruin
about one sentence.
Gone Girl is a thriller. Genre fiction, stay away from spoilers. Literary, like just straight up fiction, just literary, you know, contemporary fiction, I don't think spoilers is the point. Anyway, we need to move on. Michelle, do your segment.
Okay, fine. But really quick, Loving Frank, the best, most crazy shit spoiler in the last 20 pages ever. Just, if you don't know how Frank Lloyd Wright died, whoa. Anyway, Hateful Eight. So just to let you know that, like, one of the top 5 ways that I have decided that I will know if I have made it in my life as an actor One of them is working with Quentin Tarantino because I think he's amazeballs. So I am very excited about Hateful Eight. It is happening. Like, it's happening. Like, after all of the script leak scandal and all of the crap that happened, it is still happening. Yeah. Well, the script.
And the trailer.
And the trailer.
Well, yeah, that's true. Anyway, so it's happening. All systems go, but they're shooting in Colorado, which is interesting. Colorado gave them like a healthy $5 million tax incentive package to lure Mr. Tarantino and his film out to Colorado. I mean, it's a Western. I get it. Apropos. Totally works. So anyway, shooting is due to kick off in January, and Mr. Tarantino repeated his promise that this will enjoy the widest 70mm release in more than like 20 years.
Wow.
So it's going to be amazing.
Can't wait.
I'm so excited.
Oh, Tarantino.
Oh, Mr. Tarantino.
He needs to stop doing public appearances and just keep doing films.
I know. He's kind of, I mean, obviously I don't know him. I've seen interviews galore, but I mean, like, he is absolutely, in my opinion, from a layman's outsider standpoint, a douchebag. But he makes fabulous films.
I don't even think, like, it's weird. I don't even think he's necessarily a douchebag. I think he's just so socially inept that when it's like when a 5-year-old did something awesome, they're like, I'm the best, and like in a 5-year-old, that's adorable. In a grown man, it's a little bit less adorable. But it doesn't mean that the 5-year-old is an asshole.
Actually, that's what, have you seen Louis C.K.'s like whole thing on that? He's like, my 5-year-old's an asshole. If you're in a group of people, everybody wants to go see a movie, and one of you won't put on the shoes so nobody can go, he's an asshole.
I know a lot of people that have, not a lot of people, but enough people that have met him and say he's actually a pretty nice guy.
Yeah, right. See, that's the feel I get.
Awesome.
We are seriously, like, let's just roll straight on, Chad.
Okay. So there's a live-action Tetris movie.
Oh, God.
Seriously. Yep. That's a thing. At least according to the Wall Street Journal, who this week released that news exclusively. No one else got this news, so they obviously have somebody in there. So, Wall Street Journal, like I was saying that Threshold Entertainment has somehow acquired the rights to work with the Tetris company to develop the Tetris movie.
Mm-hmm.
There's nobody attached to it as of yet. Threshold CEO, this guy Larry.
I would think there would be a lot of attachments, like, you know, the long block sliding in on the left, and then the T block.
They're attached.
Hey-o!
Oh, wait. Anyway, Threshold CEO Larry Kasanoff adapted Mortal Kombat for screen back in '95, and then did a sequel to that adaptation, Mortal Kombat Annihilation, in '97. But since then, Threshold has been working mainly in animation for films from other production companies like Lego Movie, blah, blah, blah. So presumably, they're looking to use Tetris as something to kind of get them to become their own self-sufficient production company on their own rights. God, I don't know why, like, idioms are escaping me today. Certain elements are just... Anyway, moving right along. I looked it up on... Sorry?
Me? No, I just said it's funny. I enjoy it.
On their own pair of leg endings.
On their own pair of feet shoes. I looked Tetris up on IMDb, and I don't see anything for 2014, 2015. I did, however, see a couple of really interesting things. I saw that there was a TV show, 2000 to 2009, in a country where I assume Tetris means something else. And then there's a 2010 entry, which apparently is basically just a man playing Tetris for 73 minutes straight. Seriously, that apparently appears to be the entire extent of that movie. So let's hope Threshold's version is a little bit more interesting.
Okay, one of two things is going to occur here. One, they're going to try to make it like a Pixar type film where there's like actual blocks, and like the blocks try and do stuff and whatever, and like the blocks are the building blocks of a society, where the blocks are I don't know, something like that, like a Pixar type deal, which, like, hard to be interesting. If it was in Pixar's hands, I'd be like, a Tetris movie?
But then we wouldn't
Okay,
see
well,
it for like 5 years.
Yeah, like let's wait to see a trailer. Or they're gonna do like a Battleship type thing, where like
ding, 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 ding.
yeah, exactly. Like the
That's
movie
what it's gonna be. It's
Battleship,
gonna be,
but it's not Battleship at all. It has
Yes.
nothing to do with the game Battleship.
Nothing. They just kind of tacked it on in one little. It's so ridiculous.
Which is the worst. That's
how it's
the
gonna happen.
worst. I hate that with such a fiery passion. You know, like I've complained on this show about what to expect when you're expecting the movie. Call it something else, because that's not so dumb.
This trend will run its course. In time, this trend will run its course. Believe me. It's going to because we're in weird times. We've talked about this ad nauseum. I'm sure any of our regular listeners are just going to be bored stiff of it. But
shut up, Chad and Garrett.
I know. Moving on.
All right, let's let's do that. So I just wanted to recap. I haven't seen it yet, but I wanted to give a quick update on Gone Girl, which is released on Friday. It's only been out for a couple of days in the U.S., but it's already making pretty big waves. It's looking. The prediction is that it's going to make $38 million by the end of today. It's already had a very, very strong opening weekend, and the budget was only $50 million. So like. They are extremely likely to get that back by the end of the second week, and then you know, I mean, obviously they need to make more than that when you take into concern box office and all that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But still, $38 million for an opening weekend, very impressive for a $50 million budget. One thing I learned about this film yesterday that I didn't already know was that the book's author, Gillian Flynn, is the one who adapted the book into the screenplay, which I think is really, really cool when authors get to do that. I mean, obviously, at some point, I hope to be doing that with my own books, or maybe not, because writing scripts, you know, like I'll happily direct somebody else's script. But anyway, if the film continues to do as well as it is doing this weekend, that just means like insane dollars for her. So well done, fellow author and fellow filmmaker and everything, and congrats to the film for being #1 at the box office this weekend. People are saying that this is like a revival of Ben Affleck's acting career when he's not also directing, like, you know, because he doesn't always necessarily do the best at that. And Chad, I know that doesn't matter to you because of Daredevil, but for other people, maybe, you know.
Wait, revival means that there was a time in which he was actually considered. I don't think he ever was. I mean, no, I'm just being.
When he wasn't also directing?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he was not, but he was never considered a fantastic. Listen, he co-wrote. What do you call it? The big movie that
Good Will Hunting.
Good Will Hunting.
Yeah.
He co-wrote that, and then those guys were like a big team. But I mean, he was never really. He was never. You know, he was in stuff. You know, but he was never. You know, he was never like touted as a fantastic actor or anything.
I think he was pretty highly acknowledged for that film, and then also. Crap.
But that was primarily a writing thing.
I mean, like, there's so many. I don't know.
He was in Dazed and Confused?
Yeah, for the start of his career.
He was. I know he was in something earlier than that because a friend of mine was in it with him, or at least Matt. I like to call them Matt Affleck and Ben Damon.
School Ties?
Huh?
School Ties?
No. Even before that, I believe, Karate Kid 4.
Nah.
Yep. I mean, at least Ben Damon. Ben Damon.
I'm trying to remember. Obviously, he was in a crap ton of Kevin Smith films, and I always really, really like him in those. But I don't know that those are the sort of things that ever win wide critical acclaim.
Maybe Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
I know there's a name that I'm forgetting, and I feel like an idiot for forgetting it. But there was a movie that was considered like better than Good Will Hunting. That he was the lead, that was his movie.
Oh,
anyway.
Please don't say movie.
No, the Pearl Harbor?
No, nobody thought that was a better made film than Good Will Hunting.
Oh, well, he was in Dogma, but he was in all those Kevin Smith ones.
Yeah, but that's not. No, I forget what it is. I'm an idiot. Anyway, main topics. Michelle, do it.
No, you're right. It was School Ties. It was School Ties, because I'm
School Ties.
getting confused with them. Yeah, no, because it was shot in Boston. I actually auditioned for that.
Really?
Well, as an back, I was a kid. It was yes, but it was not a real audition. It was like a cattle call extra thing, which I would have had to turn down anyway because I was in college. But anyway.
It's always funny what people think. Like, people get excited that you have auditioned for something. I'm like, ooh. They're like,
So
you
for-
auditioned for Black Swan.
So for
Ooh.
Michelle's main topic, she's got another really big downer. We have all loved Bill Cosby for a long, long time.
God.
So actually,
But he's totally fine. Now let's talk about the main topic.
Psych. Okay, so there's this video online. Okay. In my opinion, it is the best marketing strategy for a film that is going to be streaming online that has ever happened. The director Joe Carnahan released BTS video for the film Stretch, which is going to be streaming October 7th. I think it's Tuesday. And the video online shows like BTS of like a steamy sex scene. Two like main actors are Brooklyn Decker and Patrick Wilson, and it shows like literally just straight cut of them like on and then laughing, and then somebody turns on that it's not going to be awkward music, and then he gives them direction, and they're kind of trying not to look at each other, and then they say rolling, and then they're all like getting it on again. It's like the most interesting, hilarious video ever.
So does the title of the film Stretch refer to the stretching of the...
Oh, really? Oh, Garrett.
I sneezed. I don't know. You don't know what orifice I was talking about.
Wow.
Sorry, carry on.
Anyway, so it's interesting. What? I think it's like it's the most genius thing, because now I want to see it. Like, I want to see the film. I don't really care. I saw that interesting BTS. Like, it's the most perfect genius strategy ever. But anyway, so it got me thinking about like shooting sex scenes. Now, I have actually never done a sex scene on camera.
Talk to me after the show. I'll rewrite one for Unsaid next week.
Great.
I've
me and my mom.
Multiple sex scenes.
Here was my question to you guys, like, because I mean, I know like on stage, like rehearsing, like even like really intimate scenes on stage, it gets really awkward. But like when there's a camera in your face and you're faking your orgasm, like, I mean,
you got
to circumnavigate that.
It takes a lot of trust, and you have to, at least from a directing standpoint. Obviously, I didn't. I mean, when I was an actor, I went to a particular acting school where we were kind of known for this. So I actually got a lot of.
Known for what, Chad?
What? Yeah, we need to hear details, Chad.
For sex scenes, to be, I'm not. It's true. We were kind of known for it, and so I got a chance to do it enough and I'll be honest, I never once. After the first time, never treated it as anything but work. And it wasn't just sex scenes. It was, and I think that was a really, really, really good habit for me to start to create. I'm not joking. You guys are like smirking and whatnot, but this is actually, if you treat it like it is.
My face.
I put something in the chat. That's what I'm smirking at. Sorry.
Oh, okay. If you treat it like work, if you treat it like, okay, look, you guys are safe in my hands as the director, or from actor to actor, you're children. You are a child.
In your
hands? A child.
Did you have to? Okay. Sorry.
What else was that? If you earn the trust and you are actually and honestly focused on creating a scene, then you'll do fine. You'll do fine. But it does take. I mean, there are certain things that I will rehearse. There are certain things I will not rehearse. But basically, you have to tell the story, and if you then build the set as safely as you possibly can, and get rid of anybody on that set who's not
acting like I am right now. Yeah.
And then you. Yes, no, actually that's true. and then you keep it quiet and you create. It's a very specific relationship with your crew. You also have to create, and I've done this on a couple different occasions. If anyone's ever seen this, and there's this YouTube video where I talk about actually helping actors really go to really deep dark places on set. It's very, 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 very similar to that. It's very similar because crying and being able to create an environment that is conducive to that kind of acting is very similar to creating the environment that allows for it's all about intimacy, know, and you have to be respectful, and I hope that this is true. I hope every actor that I've worked with in this particular way would say this about me. Would say that they trust me in this. I hope so, and because that's the point I'm trying to create. That's and you have to do that. So anyway, that's the answer to that question.
Cool. Yes, good stuff. I find it.
Garrett's got nothing to say about it.
No, I mean I do, but like honestly, we're so beyond overtime right now. I'm trying. I was pulling on my phone to text Chad, like, dude.
Okay, so
which is fine.
Let me jump into mine then. Let me jump into my main topic. Film and commerce. I know we've talked about this a bit in the past. We've talked about it several times, but I think that it's always good to kind of return to it, especially because there's more to talk about with it. I mean, let's be honest for a moment. Okay, most of us are making movies more as a hobby than anything else at this particular level. Some of us are lucky enough to be booking gigs to pay at least some of our bills, and even fewer of us are booking enough gigs to be doing really well, and that's the only you need. And sometimes it's a cyclical thing. Sometimes, like in my 20s, mid-20s, I was doing well and blah, 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 etc. So this isn't, no matter how you look at it, it's not necessarily a job where you're going to be making money right out of the gate, nor is it one that it will necessarily stay that way. So I wanted to discuss a couple different things here regarding film and commerce. One, it is okay to have a day gig, but you should, as we've said many times in the past, do your best to make sure it's the kind of day gig that does not suck your soul and leave you no sort of creative juices left to make, or time to make your movies. In other words, you need to make sure you have a day job that is conducive to making movies on the side. And then secondly, as you learn more and more as a filmmaker, in whatever particular position, you should be charging more. You need to keep an eye on that and make sure that you're, on the one hand, not being a martyr, but it is a balance. On the other hand, you got to recognize that favors can sometimes have a lot of value, and if you are the type of filmmaker that builds favors, like you do a ton of favors that then you can call in, it's definitely worth sometimes working for little to no money, depending on who you're working with. I mean, I was trying to create a completely sort of virtual currency that we'd be able to use with We Make Movies. That didn't really sort of pan out. I wasn't able to get that together, but
then Bitcoin came out.
But there is some value to building up. You got to make sure that you use them at some point. You got to make sure that you're giving them to the right people, because there's not a lot of people. There's not, luckily the people in We Make Movies, by and large, are the type of people that are going to help, that will let you call in their favor, and are also willing to get you in them favor-wise. So there's plenty of people who will do that in this particular. But there's that, and it's also, if it's not necessarily somebody who's good at anything but directing, right? Maybe you're kind of wasting your time, because if that was
that was one thing I was going to add and like as an addendum to that is obviously it's different for just close friends, like a bunch of people. Right. If somebody's just your absolute homie, if anybody here pretty much on the board calls me and I'm available, I'm just there no matter what.
Right,
but
right.
If you're going with somebody who is kind of like an acquaintance or whatever, and they're like, hey, can you help out on a thing? I wouldn't elect to do a favor now anymore unless I had a specific thing where I was going to get that back. Because I started working in film 5 years ago. I definitely, in that first year, I did a lot of free work on a favor exchange basis. Like, hey, and maybe I could do a thing for you right now. And some of those people I have reached out to, and some people I haven't. But a lot of them have said no, like 3 years down the line when like I'm actually directing my own stuff. I'm like, hey, I know that you have access to this thing. Can I do it? And they're like, I can't really do free anymore. It's like, motherfucker, you never did free for me. I did free for you. You son of a bitch. Like, so it's one, make sure that the type of person that will pay it back, and two, it's better if you've just got something right then that it's like, I am going to be doing this, and I need you to do that. Otherwise, it just becomes this nebulous thing, and people will forget.
It depends. It depends because, on the one hand, I also get people jobs a lot. I'm totally a connector, and so it's, I hear about something. People know they can come to me to find good people, and so I will get people gigs. So so a lot of people work for me.
You got people somebody because they know. Us? Yeah.
Say again.
You got somebody a gig for us.
I do it all the time. There's lots of people, because that's just, I love it. I love connecting people, and so that's an advantage. I can do things, thankfully, because of that. I can do things for less because people recognize that about me, and they'll book these gigs. But it depends. I don't entirely. Some of it, I guess, depends on who you are. I will work for free for somebody because I can. And that's part of it too. Like, if you got to pay your bills, you got to pay your bills. But I think that, let me jump back to the thing for just 1 second. I just want to put this into perspective even more specifically. It doesn't necessarily need to be on a project that you will work for somebody for free. It can also be the person. You know what I mean? If you can tell somebody is going places, and on top of that, they're the type of person who will work a lot. Like, for instance, I've been watching Inside Amy Schumer. I think it's very funny, and I was talking to Aubrey and Sam about it, the two other members of the board. If you don't know, they know Amy Schumer because they were in the collective back in New York City, and apparently she uses a ton of the actors that she met through the collective. They were telling me how it's all, and by the way, not to be confused with LA's collective, the multi-channel network, totally different collective. New York's collective is actually kind of like We Make Movies. It's the precursor to We Make Movies. And so that's another reason you may want to work for somebody for free, is if you think they're actually going places, because she's getting all of these people work now. All paid, and who knows? And there are a couple of the actresses on that they look like she's using them a lot. So. Cool. So that's another type of. There are situations where you got to recognize the actual future monetary value of it. So anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I really believe, and as far as acting is concerned as well, like, a favor is worth a lot.
Yeah.
A lot more than like a favor as a PA or an AD or whatever on set. So I think. And knowing who is going to repay that, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, key.
But
totally
even like a connection, like knowing what someone wants outside of what their job is. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I definitely have a lot of people that give me tickets to things and free things and stuff like that. And I actually have really OCD. I have a list of people's things.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? Like, okay, so casting director Scott David, amazing guy. He cast me on Criminal Minds. He's wonderful. He's brought me in for a lot of films. He loves skulls. He's obsessed with skulls. His entire apartment is like decorated in skulls, and it's like it's gorgeous. He's wonderful. It's awesome. But I see some skull stuff, or like, I randomly find it goes straight to Scott because that's his thing, and you got to know someone's thing, and it's all about, like, I think, even more than doing the favor, it's going the step further than people think you're going to go, because that's what people will remember. And it's staying in people's faces all the time, like Facebook, as much as people, and Twitter and Instagram, as much as a lot of people don't do it. The people that post most end up in my feed, and if I'm casting something, they're the first people I think of.
Yeah.
Yeah, totes my goats.
All right.
Cool. Good things to think about as you're entering your career or as you're continuing your career. Just be aware of things and what people are doing. For my main topic this week, I wanted to talk about a great article that Hank Green wrote this week on Medium.com. For anybody who doesn't know, Hank Green is one half of Vlogbrothers, one of the channels out there. And one of the more influential YouTubers. His channel is smaller than a lot of YouTubers, but he does have more influence. It's kind of hard to describe, but like he's the one putting on VidCon every year. He's doing all kinds of things. It's really quite awesome. So the article is titled, "This Kinda Gross Trick Will Get People to Actually Consume Your Content," which sounds like one of those weird clickbaity BuzzFeed articles, and it is, but like that's the point of the article. He runs like more than just a YouTube channel. He runs like a YouTube empire. He's got so many YouTube channels, I don't even know what all of them are. His most recent launch is Games with Hank. It's just him playing video games. He plays them for 15 minutes a day, edits it down to between 5 and 10 minutes of video, and posts a video every single day. It's less than 2 weeks old. It has 50,000 subscribers and 500,000 views. And for anybody who doesn't know this statistic already, generally speaking, you get about $1,000 for every million views on YouTube. Broadly, that's broadly.
Per month.
And he's got, sorry?
Per month?
Per 1,000 views.
Per million views, you get $1,000.
Per month.
Or yeah, $1 for every 1,000 views. Same figure.
No, not per month.
No, not per month. Per view. It's just a one-time
thing.
If
you get 50 million views in 1 month, you get $50,000. If you get 5 million views, yeah. That's obviously general. Your mileage will vary. Do not take that as any kind of metric on like which to base a YouTube career or whatever. But he's got that. He's got SciShow. He's got a channel called Crash Course. He's got the Vlog Brothers, which has 2.5 million subscribers just on its own. He's got all these things. It's huge. So what Hank talked about in this article was that on a lot of his peripheral YouTube channels, most notably SciShow, he started doing clickbait titles and thumbnails for his videos, because there is a reason that many like scuzzy websites like BuzzFeed use them, because they get people to click. So just one example of this is he had a video called 5 of the Deadliest Foods You Didn't Know About, and the thumbnail is a picture of honey, like a honeycomb thing being drawn out of a honey pot, and of course you're like, wait, it's deadly, and you click through and you do the thing, and just so nobody's like in huge mystery about honey, it's very, very unsafe for young children. It can be extremely bad for children under like 3 months to eat honey.
I did not know that.
Yeah, well,
wow.
Have a baby under 3 months and then give them honey. Maybe more than 3 months. Look it up. I'm not a medical professional.
Can I give it back after?
Yeah. So the subheading of his article was, "Don't feel bad about getting someone to click on something if the thing they're clicking on doesn't suck." And that's the point. I totally respect that viewpoint, because I've been doing things like this since I started my own YouTube channel and since I started publishing books. I'm looking for like tricks, quote unquote, to get people to buy the book, not misrepresenting myself, but taking what you've got and presenting it in a way that compels people to want it. And I don't mind like looking into the habits of like the dark side of the internet, in which I firmly place sites like BuzzFeed and Upworthy and crap. I really don't like those sites because they just curate crap with articles about the 12 cutest dogs who forgot they weren't cats and some stupid shit like that. I really hate that thing, and that makes a lot of people not want to write articles and create things that are titled that way and that do those thumbnails and everything. But the difference is that if your content is good, getting people to click on it isn't a crime. So anyway, that was his point in the article. It's a great article. It's over on Medium.com. You should check it out. But basically, these companies spend millions and millions of dollars researching methods that will get people to click on their crappy list-based GIF articles, and they're working because these what?
No, I said, huh.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
I agree. I think that's interesting. If it's actually worthwhile,
right,
then where's the harm in it? That's interesting.
Yeah, and they're working. Like they are clearly working because they are making bank. These companies are.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone with like pure artistic intentions should feel bad taking advantage of the lesson if you're directing people to something that you actually feel is worthwhile. which is like there's a larger discussion to be had about what is worthwhile, and unfortunately some people end up with a lot of marketing tech and like create some really bad stuff. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
I agree with that overall, and I got to be honest with you. I do click on BuzzFeed and Upworthy because I actually sometimes I think that the thing that they're talking about, at least on on Buzzworthy, is actually kind of interesting. However, that said, I will never link to Buzzworthy because I'm embarrassed so I will always pull the actual video off of YouTube and post that link.
Right.
That's what so because it's a thing. I don't want to be I don't want to be attached to that.
Yeah. Totally, and I'm the exact same way. I will sometimes Hank Green gets featured on BuzzFeed or Upworthy, and I'm like, oh, holy crap, and I'll click through, but I'm not going to share that article. I'm going to be like, Hank Green did this thing, and I'm going to share the original thing.
Right. Yeah.
I just think I think that as far as YouTube is concerned, and as far as like online content, I think there's a personal liability or a personal connection that doesn't exist in the advertising world as a whole. So if, let's say, what's her name, Taryn Southern, puts something up that is linked to Buzzworthy, and then like there's an outcry because like they think that she believes this, or that it's much more personalized. But if Nike were going about like getting you to buy their shoes by the same method, it's not as personalized. So whatever. I don't think anybody should live your life.
Yeah, I don't have as much a button.
Get your stuff out there.
Yeah, I don't have as much a button as you do on that stuff because it doesn't work on me generally. I mean, not the stuff that I mean, Kendall gets pissed off because she gets suckered into things, but I see pretty quickly if something sucks and I just click away, and I'm not really, I won't dig into an article when it's clearly full of crap. You know what I mean? I just kind of skim over it. It's funny. I mean, sort of semi-related to that, a friend of mine was like saying on Facebook, he was like, if you post a comment, can you please just finish reading the article first? And I was like, and my response was like, yeah, but I consider it sort of like shoot, what do you call it when you're live tweeting? I consider it live tweeting my own personal reading experience, which is actually kind of true because if I skim it and it's like, okay, this is worth reading, I might comment right away. And before I get all the nuts and bolts, and then like I may comment like 2 or 3 times because I'm not kidding. I'm sort of live commenting my reading experience.
That's pretty hilarious.
that's how I do the internet. And hate me for it, but or not. But I just think that there's. I think you have to skim because there's so much bull crap out there that you have to. Anyway, you get my point.
Yeah, I think it's good, and I just think that again, lots of people spend lots of time trying to figure out how to make people buy things, and like we don't have the resources to do that research, but it doesn't mean that we shouldn't take advantage of it, especially since we're creating better things.
Yeah.
So sure. Let's scoot over to the things. What do you got, Michelle?
I got things to know.
Okay, let's scoot over to the things to know, Michelle.
Well, Garrett knows this.
Yes.
So we start. We're Garrett and Chad and I will actually not be here film geeking next week because we will all be working on the short film called Unsaid that Garrett wrote, and I am producing and acting in, and Chad is helping out on set, ADing, I believe. First AD, and it's going to be awesome, but we won't be here. And we'll miss you.
We'll miss you awfully.
We will miss you all terribly. But thank you to our audio listeners. Thank you to our YouTube viewers. Don't forget, we have more things to know. I'm sorry, carry on. I was jumping into the outro. Chad, go ahead.
Okay, so a couple other things. Last week, Aubrey, our own Aubrey Mozino from We Make Movies, she was on Reckless Eating, the YouTube channel. And it was actually, believe it or not, it got us a lot of traffic. They're a pretty big. If you're unfamiliar with Reckless Eating, check them out on YouTube if you have a very strong stomach. They they kind of specialize in slow motion vomiting, actual vomiting in slow motion. That's kind of their thing.
So awesome.
Well, they have a ton of viewers, so check them out. Aubrey went on the show, and so check it. I can't watch it myself, but some people really enjoy it. So, and again, like I said, it's got us about a couple hundred more subscribers from her being on the thing. And yes, and that one, she's eating like the hottest pepper in existence, called the chocolate bootla or whatever the crap it's called.
The ghost pepper was the hottest in existence.
This apparently is hotter than anything. This is the hottest pepper. So anyway, so go check it out. Right now it has. She's okay. She survived. The other people didn't do so well, and I don't think she even threw up in the episode. Yeah,
good
for her.
That is badass.
Awesome.
Yeah, she's kind of a badass. And they have. And one last thing is, do go to our site, check out our new weekly articles. I'm very proud of the one that I did this past week, last Tuesday. Anyway, check it out. There's some good stuff in there. Every single day, WeMakeMovies.org. There you have it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
My thing to know is that, inspired by Hank Green, I have started a new show on my YouTube channel called Garrett's Games, where I play video games every day, only for like 5 or 10 minutes, and it's not as pretty as his are. It's not as like professionally edited and everything, because he can hire people to do that, and I can't. But it's still fun, and on Thursday I will start airing footage from the new game Shadow of Mordor, which is set in the Lord of the Rings universe. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty badass. Might want to check it out. But that's over on my website, the Garrett. No, it's is it the Garrett? Well, if you search Garrett Robinson on YouTube, I'm definitely there. And with that, I will bring an end to this podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Anybody who tuned in live, once again, we would like to ask you, go over to iTunes, give us a rating, hop into YouTube, toss us a comment. It very much helps us with the show, and we appreciate it. I'm Garrett. You can find me at GarrettBRobinson.com. Chad is over at SuperFreako.com, and Michelle is on Twitter at MLucadoo. We'll see you next week. Goodbye. We won't see you next week. 2 weeks.